Hello and welcome along to Snetterton for the third and fourth rounds of the 2014 Radical SR1 Cup. With many of the drivers never having raced on the Snetterton 300 circuit before, qualifying is going to be very interesting.
Especially as there was a slightly damp circuit out on track, so the track was always going to get quicker and quicker as the qualifying session progressed. After the first round in Brands Hatch at the start of the season, it would have been a win apiece for Matthew Brooks and James Guess, but who would it be to take pole position in the qualifying session as the cars headed out onto the circuit? On board with Dave Morgan, and you could see the track conditions were not absolutely ideal, but they'd be getting quicker as the session progressed. Another strong field of cars, and in the early stages it was James Guess in the 11 car who made a good start. Will Benton lost control of his car at Hamilton's and ended up on the grass, but James Guess, a race winner at Brands Hatch, was running at the front of the field early on. Chris Carr then took provisional pole position in the 21 machine, whilst Tony Liversidge, another strong runner, had to battle through traffic as he tried to find some clear air. Martin Verity ended up with a good qualifying performance in 4th place, and he was just behind Matthew Brooks, another race winner from Brands Hatch, who would start 3rd on the grid. Robert Watkins was 5th quickest, and Andy Green was inside the top 10, an impressive performance from him. Chris Carr on provisional pole thought he'd done enough to take the pole position slot. He came into the pits. Robert Watkins was unable to improve after a spin. He would start in 5th place, but the final lap of the session saw Barry Liversidge steal pole position.
Well, that was the best I've ever done in qualifying, getting pole position. And the person I have to thank for it actually is Andy Green, surprisingly enough, because I left a fairly big gap for him in front of him, and then I chased him down, just fixating on the back of his orange helmet. And so I suppose that's how I managed to put a reasonably good time in. But it was most unexpected and very pleasant.
It was really disappointing actually, because I was standing there and my team came up to me, they were congratulating me that I'd pole and I had to set the fastest lap. And then a second later they came in, no, they got it all wrong, someone's beating you by 12,000 of a second. I just thought, but anyway, I'm on the front row, so that's the most important thing. And I'm happy with that. And I think I might have got a pole for second, I'm not sure. So it's been good. I'm happy.
And how will you play it off the line? Will you drop into second, or will you go for the lead at the first corner?
I'll go flat out, try and win the race, definitely. But it's tricky here, you know. It's so evenly matched coming off the line here, and then everyone's barreling into that corner. You know, anything can happen. So I don't know, just going to try and fingers crossed and everything, and let's hope I can get through.
Unfortunately, after qualifying, Matthew Brooks and Barry Liversidge were sent to the back of the grid for technical infringements, and as a result, Chris Carr will start on pole position with Martin Verity alongside him on the front row, Robert Watkins and James Guess on row 2, and there you can see Liversidge and Brooks down in 16th and 17th position for the first race of the weekend. As the lights went out, it was a decent start for Chris Carr, but it was Martin Verity that appeared to get the jump. Robert Watkins tried to slice through the middle, whilst Lewis Gee struggled to get off the line. Down into the first corner, Chris Carr held the lead for the time being, as everyone else tried to filter their way through on board with Dave Morgan. He was running in 4th place in the early stages on the run down towards the Montreal hairpin. You can see the conditions still a little bit slippery out there, as some of the cars were sliding wide at the Montreal hairpin. Robert Watkins had managed to find himself into the lead of the race. Chris Carr got a little bit too happy with his throttle pedal and as a result lost a number of places, but it was Watkins out in the lead. James Guess was running in 2nd position. Making progress was Barry Liversidge, having started at the back. He was doing battle with an impressive Andy Green. The battle for the lead soon closed in, as did the battle for 3rd position, Dave Morgan being unceremoniously pushed wide, bouncing over the grass, but living to fight on in 4th place. The race leaders were getting closer and closer. Robert Watkins had been closed in by James Guess as they came out towards the Bentley Straight once again. Guess managed to get the inside line into Williams, and then the two went side by side down into the braking zone for Brundle and Nelson, but Watkins misjudged his braking. He was sent spinning off the circuit, That spooked James Guess, which allowed Matthew Brooks from the back of the grid to move through into the lead of the race. Dave Morgan was now hunting down Guess for second position, and he managed to take it on the inside into Riches. Strong work from Morgan to take second place, but it was Matthew Brooks who was leading the way, ahead of Dave Morgan, with James Guess running third, and Robert Watkins, our previous race leader, down in fourth position. So from 17th on the grid, it was a race victory for Matthew Brooks. He was elated with that. Second for Dave Morgan across the line, but what an incredible performance from Brooks to go from last to first. He ended up finishing 2.4 seconds clear of Dave Morgan, who in turn was just half a second ahead of James Guess. Robert Watkins in fourth place, with Chris Carr competing the top 5. So the top step of the podium for Brooks, possibly the hardest he's ever had to work for a race victory.
Wow. Amazing. I was just worried about getting through the first corner, let alone trying to do that. I had a bit of good luck. Dave unfortunately had a moment in Riches which gave me a chance to get through, because obviously picking off a tail enders is completely different from getting past these guys. And then James was fighting with Robert at the end of the straight, and I don't know what happened, but both of them, one went one way, one went the other way, and a gap opened up, and I thought, this must be Christmas. There you go. So that was it, and I just came through and did 2 laps, and I thought, come on, pull the flag out now. Anyway, amazing, absolutely amazing. Doesn't get better than that, does it?
Dave, it was a busy race for you.
It certainly was, yeah. Lots of action, lots of overtaking. Just felt I was always trying to catch up, but a bit of luck again when P1 and 2 took each other. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but same as Matt said, it was nice to see it happening in some ways, and we managed to sneak through. No one hurt, and they got back on the track. But good opportunity.
It's James. Again, you were one of those drivers that was trying to hunt down Robert Watkins for the lead, and made your way through to do so.
Yeah, it was a great battle with Robert. We were fighting tooth and nail all the way through, and then I got a jump on him. You can see his tyres are going off. Got a jump on him down the straight. Got side by side. He kept squeezing me. And obviously very late on the brakes, got it locked up a bit, managed to get it back. But obviously by that point, Matt could come through. So happy with third in the end, because it could have been in the kitty litter. So I'll take the points and see if we can do the second race.
That's it. Cars in one piece. Look forward to the second race a little later on today.
Exactly right.
So delight for Matt Brooks, but he'll have to do it all again in race 2, because once again he's at the back of the grid. Chris Carr will be on pole position, with James Guess alongside him on the front row, Robert Watkins and Martin Verity on row number 2, but Matt Brooks down in 17th place as the red lights come on here at Snetterton. And away we go, and it's a good initial getaway for the 11 car of James Guess from the front row as they come down towards Riches. Everyone veering to the left to avoid a slowing car as they come, and I think that's our pole sitter Chris Carr. The 21 machine slowing on the exit of the pit lane, so that means James Guess is into the lead of the race, and Chris Carr looks to be in trouble. We go on board with Dave Morgan down towards the Montreal hairpin for the first time. Tries to send it around the outside. That's going to be an ambitious manoeuvre, and one that doesn't quite come off. We saw Dave Morgan flying over the grass in race 1, keeps it on the tarmac in the second race, but it is Guess who leads. Robert Watkins, by the looks of it, is up into second place. There in the 1000 car is Andy Green coming down towards the hairpin. On board we go again with Dave Morgan, queuing up as they turn through the left-hander of Agostini, then up to the quick left flick at Hamilton's. But still out in front, James Guess, and he's making a bit of a breakaway, isn't he? At the front of the order. A tentative look down the inside from John Glendenning as he tries to get past the 69 car of Dave Morgan, but nothing doing into Oggies that time around. Our race leaders into the left-hander of Brundle, then the right-hand flick at Nelson, and it's James Guess leading, but Robert Watkins has closed him in and is now feinting towards the inside of the bomb hole. Nothing doing there, and now comes towards Coram. A very, very tight battle for the lead of the race, and there's a quick flash through of Matt Brooks making up places as they come across the line. It's nose to tail for the lead of the race. Robert Watkins looks to the outside in the 77 car, the 11 car of James Guess on the inside line. Can he try and get the cut back going down into the hairpin? We go on board with Dave Morgan down towards Montreal through the right-hander, and and there's a moment there, and I think that's Martin Verity spinning off from third position. Looked like he got a little too close to comfort to the back of the two leading Radicals, and Martin Verity will be sent tumbling down the order. But it's still this continuing battle for first place that has everyone's attention. And it is Robert Watkins who is now ahead of James Guest. So Watkins has got through and into the lead. Will he now start to pull away from Guest? And there, making up a place, is Matt Brooks, looking to the inside line, and a spin for Will Bent, and he spun in qualifying, but now he's got it back on circuit, and hopefully that won't cost him too much time. Our race leaders then in a different order now. Robert Watkins ahead of James Guest, and then still in third place is Dave Morgan in the 69 car, through the bomb hole out towards Coram. How quickly can Matt Brooks close in on them? He's currently in 5th place. Across the line comes our race leader. Matt Brooks is up into 4th position now, and has get onto the back of Dave Morgan as they come into Riches. The double apex right-hander, Morgan will have a lot to look for in his mirrors over the next few laps, because Matt Brooks is right behind him on the exit of Palmer's, down towards the hairpin at Agostini. Andy Green still doing battle with Chris Rees. As we go on board with Morgan, he's going wide. Is that because there's a car on the inside? Yes, it is. Matt Brooks goes through. Morgan gets the cutback though and retakes the position as they come towards Hamilton's at 150 miles an hour. Throw it into the left-hander, and for the time being at least, Dave Morgan holds on to 3rd spot. Out towards the Bentley Straight now. There are our race leaders, still Robert Watkins leading the way, ahead of James Guest. 3rd place for Morgan. But the Scot has got Matt Brooks right up behind him. Look how much more speed he carries through there. But where's the opportunity going to be for Matt Brooks to make the pass? Surely not into Coram, although he's got a good exit actually, and he looks to the inside of Coram and he goes through. Great move from Matt Brooks. Dave Morgan is demoted to 4th position. How far up the field can Matt Brooks get? He won the first race from the back of the grid. Can he repeat that feat again? Across the line comes our race leader, Robert Watkins. James Guest is the next man on the hit list. A little feint to the inside from Dave Morgan as he tries to get back past Matt Brooks, but nothing doing there. 44 car with a storming climb up the order. James Guest is the next man on his hit list. Chris Rees there in car 67, running down in 8th place at the moment. As we go on board with Dave Morgan, this is going to be side by side for 2nd position. Brooks will be on the outside for the corner, but he still manages to swoop around the outside and take 2nd spot. Will there be a fight back from James Guest? No. The two men who shared the race victories at Brands Hatch in the opening round of the season doing battle now over 2nd place, with Robert Watkins a little further up the road. Here's the checker flag though. They're not going to have time to catch Watkins. He takes victory. It's 2nd place from the back of the grid for Matt Brooks. Nose to tail across the line for 3rd position. That's what a 1/10 of a second looks like. Dave Morgan finishing behind James Guest. But it's the victory for Robert Watkins. Just 7/10 of a second clear of Matt Brooks. Here's a look at the classification. James Guest in 3rd, just ahead of Dave Morgan. Barry Liversidge, who had to come from 16th on the grid, doing a good job to finish 5th. So on to the top step of the podium. For the first time this season, Robert Watkins, he'll be delighted with that. He managed to hold on with the charging Matt Brooks behind.
It's Robert, your first win of the season. That must taste very nice indeed, that champagne.
It's not just my first win of the season, actually my first ever motor racing win, that, so it feels very good.
Well, many congratulations, but it's one that you did have to work for.
I certainly did. I remember off the start I had a bit of a shunt from behind. I don't know whether any damage got done to my car or not, and then later on I got some window opening, got through past James, and I think James dropped back a bit, so I had new tyres on the back. It gave me quite a lot of grip, and then towards the end, of course, I saw the familiar Matt Brooks car behind me, and I knew that he'd done the magic again and come right from the back to the front, so I sped up a bit and managed to hold him off and got the result.
After qualifying, we thought the weekend was wrecked and I was ready to go home. But yeah, it's amazing, salvaging a win and a 2nd place. And I'm going to put a request in requesting to increase the length of the races by 2 minutes, I think, is what I need. Just 2 more minutes. But I got held up by Mark Crader coming through because he got back past me, and that took a lap out, and I think that's what cost me. But no, fantastic fun, great clean racing. I just want to say thank you very much to Radical, especially Roger Green, who's the series coordinator, who's done a fantastic job. They're always friendly, they're always ready for you, always ready to help, especially independents like myself. So thank you very much, Radical.
Yeah, third, take the points. Look at the long-term picture. We've got 4 more races to go, so I think I've held on to second just about in the championship. So we'll go from there.
How are we going to slow down Matt Brooks?
I'm going to nobble him.
Sounds like a plan. You might not be the only one.
Yeah, I think we need to. There's something going on, but he's found a phenomenal amount of pace this season compared to last season, and good on him. He's driving incredibly well. He made a fantastic move around the outside of me, and I thought, well, if he's held on to that, then good on him. He can have the place.
It's all good fun racing, is it? It's all friendly. That's what the SR1 Cup's about.
Yeah, it's great. We're a great bunch of guys, and we all have a really good laugh together, and we're all learning, and we're all getting better and better all the time. And you can just see it by entering this championship, how competitive we can become. The more you do, the better you're going to get.
After the race, though, Robert Watkins was excluded from the results, which means that Matt Brooks took victory once again from the back of the grid. And that affects the championship like this. Brooks extending his advantage at the top over James Guess to 25 points. Dave Morgan now third in the championship. Robert Watkins down in fourth.
2 great races from the Radical SR1 Cup, and Matt Brooks really showed his quality from the back of the grid in both races. He leaves Snetterton leading the championship. Join us next time at Donington Park.